As someone who runs an at-home abortion pill company, what is your reaction to this ruling?
We think the Supreme Court today was absolutely on the wrong side of history. By overturning Roe, these judges are making an incredible attack on people's individual liberty, and they are putting the health of millions of individuals at risk. The decision is coming at a time when the vast majority of Americans do support access to safe and legal abortion care. And I do think it's important to note that abortion is still legal in many states in this country, despite what we've seen as a lot of confusion around the issue. And that unlike in the pre-Roe era, today we do have access to safe, effective abortion pills and the technology to connect with patients to give them the support that they need.
So how does this decision impact your business model? Are there changes that you're having to make right now as a result of this law?
We will continue operating in all 6 states in which we're currently live. Abortion does remain legal in those states. We've strategically positioned ourselves in those states as the locations that are likely to absorb the most demand after Roe. Forecasts are suggesting, for example, a 3,000% increase in out-of-state travelers seeking abortion care in California. That number is nearly 9,000% in Illinois. We have grown our team to anticipate that increase in demand, and we also plan on launching in new states soon.
So how do you then protect your customers and your employees from being potentially liable, depending on where they're coming from?
Hey Jane is compliant with all local telemedicine laws. Our patients must be in the state where it's legal in order to receive care, and we follow all of the other very nuanced abortion and telemedicine laws within these states.
What do you see as the future for telemedicine around abortion-related issues? I mean, I imagine there's going to be a big shift, perhaps a whole economy developing around this as a result.
Yeah, we did see that this year, for the first time, medication abortion was over half of all abortion treatments in this country. For some context, the medications have been around since 2000, very well studied to be incredibly safe and effective. They have a lower adverse reaction rate, actually, than Tylenol. We do think that medication abortion and telemedicine abortion in particular will become an increasingly important means of access as clinics become increasingly burdened by the restrictions post-Roe. It does have a number of important benefits. It can reduce the cost, the travel time, the time waited for treatment. And so it is likely to be an increasingly important part of the access landscape moving forward.
Now, this decision is likely to impact poor women disproportionately. The Hey Jane option is cheaper than a medical abortion. Pill is still a couple $100. How do you plan to make that available or help poorer women who want access to it?
Absolutely. Financial accessibility is paramount to our mission to serving the patients that we need to be serving. Our price, as you mentioned, is $249, which is less than half of the national average of $550, however, still out of reach for many. So we do partner with some really wonderful nonprofits called abortion funds that offer financial assistance to patients who need it. We're also in the process of working on insurance coverage. There is some policy work that needs to be done there in order for it to be compatible with the Medicaid model, but we're pushing forward on those changes as quickly as we can.
Now, I know you just raised $3.6 million from investors. Do you think that more investors are going to be interested, more or less interested now that we've had this decision? I mean, have you heard from investors? Are you getting fresh inbound interest?
We definitely have seen a spike in interest. I think many people living today have only lived in a post-Roe era, and the idea that this fundamental right was truly going to be stripped away felt a bit far-fetched. I think that now that people are coming to terms with the very stark reality we're facing, there is a lot more interest in assisting with solving, this really critical problem.
We've been getting headlines from how tech companies are and are not taking a stand about this. Google, according to the Washington Post, just told workers they can apply for relocation as a result of the Roe decision. Meta telling workers not to talk about the decision openly, that according to the New York Times. What stand do you think big tech companies that have access to a lot of data and a lot of power, what should they be doing?
That's a great question. I think the number one thing they absolutely must be doing is protecting access for their employees. We have seen many large companies step up to support funding for cross-state travel when needed. I think that's absolutely essential. I think there's also a lot of concerning trends happening with the use of data to track abortion patients and providers. And to the extent that these companies can mitigate those risks, I think they certainly have a moral obligation to do so.